Are you guys ready for big boy damage Machamp? I don't know. I don't think you guys are ready. But I'm going to show it to you. We're going to dive into it. Machamp sitting here pushing 100k DPS like no big deal. Regardless if he has 4 arms, someone's going to feel one of these punches. It's going to land. But at the end of the day, let's dive into it. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to another Pokemon Unite video featuring Machamp here going to the bot lane and master rank laning with a Cramorant. Now, I know how exciting that sounds. We're down here versus looks like a Roulette and a Gibble. No big deal. From all my experience by playing this Pokemon, personally I think laning with a Cramorant is probably the best combination you can get with Machamp. Like I said, just my experience. Now again, you could argue. You may like somebody else, that's fine. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be that one Machamp player who's better than you, that one Machamp player who's better than me, etc. You know what I mean? There's always somebody out there who is a little bit better than you are, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we're all here to learn, we're all here to get better at the game, we're all here to get better in life or what have you. But each their own, you know? I digress. We're sitting here playing Machamp in the bot lane with Cramorant. He brings so much crowd control to the table, considering Machamp is generally a single target DPS, depending on how you play him. Because cross chop, close combat, submission, dynamic punch, there's a lot of different builds that you can do. You can do single target, you can do AoE. Today we're playing with dynamic punch. You know what I mean? We're playing dynamic punch and we're playing close combat. I'm gonna go ahead, there's the build right here, that's what we're running. We ain't running no crit items at all. Why? Why no crit items in Machamp? Am I crazy? So for those of you that don't know how this Pokemon works, right? At level 5, level 10, you get crit rate automatically. Just by you leveling up. But for those of you who aren't aware, close combat, dynamic punch, they cannot crit. The only thing they can crit with Machamp is cross chop and your basic attacks. Keep that in mind, alright? Now, consider you already get a base crit rate at level 5 and level 10, you don't necessarily need to sit here and run those crit items. But if you choose to do so, I would advise Razor Claw if you're running for cross chop. Just because your boosted auto attack on Machamp already slows down a target. So by doing damage to a target, you get the effect from Razor Claw and you get a boosted damage from Razor Claw and slows. So I mean, it's a lot easier to run Razor Claw with close combat versus... Oh, sorry, not cross chop, my bad. Versus close combat, because close combat cannot crit. Keep that in mind. So you don't want to put crit items on Machamp, and at that point, if you're running close combat, because it can't crit. Now, Dynamic Punch, on the other hand, it's an AoE stun versus submission. The reason why I generally like playing with submission, but I have learned a lot by playing this game in solo queue, just like you have. In solo queue, it's a lot harder to carry a game, obviously. But the other downside is, if you're playing submission on Machamp in a solo queue environment, it's going to be a lot harder for you to carry the game and or win the game and or do well. Why? Because submission works like this. You jump in to an area, right? You run into an area, you're unstoppable. The only person that can't crowd control you is Slowbro, right? But, what's the problem? Okay, problem is this. You jump in there, you get one target, you submission a target, right? Your team's all facing, or targeting somebody else. Your team's not paying attention to the target that you submission. What happens? Generally speaking, you get yourself killed, and your team is, derping around somewhere else. You gotta keep that in mind, that 9 out of 10 that can't happen. And it's no fault of your own, for example. If you go in and you get the right target but your team's not paying attention, who are you going to blame the blame on? You're going to blame it on your team, right? But at the end of the day, this is a team game. So it's a lot harder to be successful with submission in a solo queue environment when your team's not paying attention. But Dynamic Punch, on the other hand, see how much crowd control that is? AoE stuns, by the way. AoE stun that you can jump over terrain with. That you also get a boosted movement speed when you land the ability after you activate, Dynamic Punch. That 1 second stun, give or take, can change a team fight just like that. Absol dives in, gets stunned, what happens? He gets deleted. You know what I mean? You can catch up to targets, you can do a lot of things with Dynamic Punch that you can't do with submission. But at the end of the day, you activate that Unite move, you knock out whoever you feel like punching. You know what I'm saying? You have 4 arms, someone's going to feel it. I don't know how he was able to catch me, then I realized this man probably running X speed, and he's running X speed. I might as well just let him take me. I had to double check just in case, right? Yeah, I think he's running X speed. Yeah, he's running X speed. But in any case, let's break it down right quick. because a lot of people don't understand how Machamp's abilities actually work and where all the damage comes from, and how we managed to hit over 100k this game. I'm gonna go ahead and show you. First of all, this was a very good game, right? It was a nice game. We were in pretty much every team fight that we needed to be in, or that we got caught out in, or what have you, whatever way you want to look at it. But the way this Pokemon works is you have a passive ability called Guts, right? What Guts does, it increases your damage by 10% for 5 seconds if you have a status effect on you. That's like a slow, a burn, poison, sludge bomb, what have you. Increase by 10% of your damage, right? Now, your boosted auto attacks, for those of you that don't know, it does slow, right? But watch this, look at this. Dynamic Punch, Cramorant's crowd control, close combat, double kill. You know what I'm saying? Like, no big deal. Of course you're killing this Garchomp too, because close combat. He's gonna get killed anyway, not by me, but by somebody else, obviously. But still. In any case, so what close combat does, right? It's better than Lucario's, by far. The reason why I say that is, with Machamp, you become untargetable with close combat. So let's say an enemy Machamp is chasing you down to try to submission you. You hit close combat at the right time, what happens? His submission does nothing because you are, what? Unstoppable. You can do it while running, you can do it while moving, whereas Lucario, you have to stand still. Now pay attention to my Unite meter. I'm getting ready to get killed here, right? Focus Band procs here a little bit. I get the barrier from the little score thing. Unite move pops off. I'm punching targets down first before I hit the button again. You always want to try to do that if possible. Try to use some of that buddy barrier, you know what I mean? Get a couple punches in there before you hit the button again to trigger your Unite move. But in any case, close combat. Let's get back into it right quick. So Machamp's unstoppable, right, for the duration, and can use it while moving. But at the same time, you deal additional damage if the target is affected by a status effect. So you Dynamic Punch somebody, they're stunned. Close combat, increase damage to them, right? Now let's say you have a burn, poison, or what have you, it increases your damage that you would deal to them because they were already crowd controlled. Nuts, right? Now, you're forgetting something. Dynamic Punch. So how this works is what? When you land Dynamic Punch, you automatically hit the target four times. Like four blows, for example. But at the same time, Machamp's attack is also increased again by 15%. And you get bonus movement speed. Now, at level 11, when you level it up again, what happens? It goes from 15% to 20%. That's a huge jump. 5% is a big jump. So that's 30% increased damage, essentially, if you have a status effect. So Absol dives into me with Sucker Punch, what slows me down. That's a status effect, increased 10% damage. I stun him in the face and I just punch him out. Plain and simple. Absol is a ridiculous good early game, right? I'm not saying he's a trash Pokemon. I'm not saying he can't carry a game. But you know how when you're playing Pokemon Unite, you're playing any MOBA, League, what have you. At every point in the game, certain champions, certain Pokemon have different power spikes, right? I like to think Machamp's power spike is a bit of a later game Pokemon, but it can be mid to early if you do well. But once you get to that late game, what's up? You're a threat. Your Dynamic Punch, your Close Combat, your Unite move is a threat. You can delete whoever you want to. Just like in the situation here, I'm aiming to get Absol and Garchomp if I can in this ability. And what do? 2 for 1. We get that trade. Now my team can sit here and defend Zapdos if need be. I have a Greedent who's barely has any HP, but at the same time, I know he can get out of the situation if need be. Cramorant has Unite move. Why not toss it? Hey, there we go. Kills Charizard instantly. Without those two other Pokemon here, they can't focus on Zapdos. They can't kill my team. Now, in the same sense, Machamp has a lot of weaknesses, right? He can't be kited out by a good Greninja. Because if you dive into a Greninja with Dynamic Punch, a good Greninja does double team and they kite you out with Water Shuriken and Red Buff. Keep that in mind. So be very mindful versus a good Greninja player. But if you ain't getting kited out, you're pretty much 1v1 any other Pokemon in the game besides like Crustle with all that barrier up. A good Snorlax player may give you a hard time. But at the end of the day, Machamp is here to carry games, especially when you're really good with this Pokemon. And the skin looks fantastic, like absolutely incredible. Now, his Unite move, okay? Remember, we're on 30% damage by level 11 Dynamic Punch. increases your stats by 20%. You have a status effect on you that's 10%, right? You pop your Unite move, what happens? You get another 30% increase on your damage. That's 60% attack damage increase to Machamp's abilities, which is absolutely nuts. But hey, apparently this Pokemon's C tier, apparently this Pokemon's D tier, apparently he's not very good, but each their own. But hopefully you guys have learned a thing or two about playing Machamp, or have wanted to get this skin, or maybe you haven't played Machamp and want to pick him up. Maybe I can change your mind, I don't know. But each their own. Come join the Discord and smash that like button. Come tell me I suck. It is what it is, man. I will catch you guys in the very next episode of Pawse Plays. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm gonna head out.